I began to study it and learn to say the rosary the way it was intended, which included all three sets of the mysteries: the joyful mysteries, the sorrowful mysteries, and the glorious mysteries. After doing this, that constant willful reminder to say the rosary properly finally stopped. After a couple of years of saying the rosary, I stopped at a convenience store where they sell lottery tickets. I went inside and took a blank ticket out to my car. Between the front seats there is a movable console with a storage compartment inside. In that console I kept my religious cards. One card had a picture of the Sacred Heart of Jesus on the front and the novena to the Sacred Heart of Jesus on the back. I took one of those religious cards and put it under the blank lottery ticket. It was just starting to drizzle a tiny bit. The droplets were about the size of a pinhead. I said to Jesus, I could devote a lot more of my time to prayer if I won the lottery instead of working for a living every day. So I held the blank ticket out the window of my car with the devoted Sacred Heart of Jesus card under it and said, I'm going to play the numbers that those tiny droplets touch. So I stuck my arm out the window for a few seconds, and then I brought it back in and filled in the numbers where those droplets fell. When I was done, I was going to go back into the store and play those numbers. Those tiny little droplets that came from a cloud somewhere miles up fell on my lottery tickets in an astonishing way. The first 6 tiny droplets that fell onto my ticket formed the sign of the cross. With that, I got the message that I had enough money to do it on my own. The 2 most powerful things you can do on this planet are pray and fast. I used to fast occasionally with a meal here and there, or a snack once in a while. I always knew that Jesus fasted for 40 days and 40 nights in the desert. And years ago, I decided I would like to fast for 40 days, but not all in a row. I don't believe I could handle such a feat, but I was inspired by Jesus' 40-day fast. What I decided to do was try to fast for a 24-hour period 40 times. I started by doing it once a month. During my 24-hour period of fasting, I began to appreciate things I never appreciated before. First of all, hunger. In all of my life, no matter how poor we were back in Brooklyn, we always had at least 3 meals a day. And in all of my adult life, I took for granted that food would always be there, no matter what. Especially in this country, with the abundance of food that we have. By being hungry for a 24-hour period, however, I began to realize that there were millions of people in this world today who experience hunger day after day. I began to understand how I am blessed compared to other people in this world. I began to realize just how much food I ate during the day and how much of it is simply comfort food. I'm not heavy by any means. I have always been about 175 pounds and still am to this day. But between snacking and the desire for chocolates, I have always satisfied myself with extras here and there. I also began to realize how wonderful it is to experience hunger pains to repay Jesus for what he has done for me. It's a wonderful feeling at the end of a 24-hour period to think of what you have accomplished and that you can now eat anything you want. I have long since fulfilled that 40-day fast commitment, and I continue with a monthly fast of 24 hours. I hope to increase it to a weekly 24-hour fast someday. Years started to pass, and with each year I was fulfilling my devotion by saying my 81,000 prayers. I had also found other prayers I could say during the day when I was not working. These prayers brought me many more promises and many more graces. I never included them in my original devotion as far as counting them. I will show you which ones they are and what promises they bring later on. What seemed a daunting task at one time in my life was actually very effortless to accomplish. What you may perceive as a lot of tedious work is nothing but time blissfully spent to someone who prays. I never realized the power of prayer. The more I prayed, the more I wanted to pray. The more I prayed, the stronger the bond between myself and heaven became. The more I prayed, the easier it became to do. The The more I prayed, the better life became. The more I prayed, the closer I got to the Almighty One. The more I prayed, the more peace I experienced. The more I prayed, the happier I was. The more I prayed, the more content I became. The more I prayed, the more fulfilled I became. The more I prayed, the more I was getting in return. The more I prayed, the more I knew graces were pouring down on me abundantly. The more I prayed, the more I realized you can't give to heaven without heaven giving back 1,000,000-fold. The Enlightenment. One day, as I surpassed my original 1,000,000 prayers and was working on my second million, I curiously asked, in an ingenuous manner, exactly who is this one that I've said all these prayers to? Never expecting an answer, I felt the knowledge and presence of the universe come upon me. I felt I was in contact with something so huge that the universe and all its secrets, all its mathematics, all its magnificence, all its components, and its entire majesty was infinitesimal compared to it. It came upon me slowly, similar to the way a storm approaches. Quietly, I felt enveloped by something infinitely tremendous. If you'd like to read about my enlightenment in its entirety, please visit my website at www.whatgodtoldme.com. Thank you very much.